Okay, so we have adjourned out of executive session and have moved back into the regular meeting, and it is 8:23. So, resuming regular meeting, and it is recorded. Here we go.
So if there's somebody out there who's willing to pay $20 million, then why don't you ask them to put an offer together and we can look at it in a week.
Getting it in a week or not, I'm not sure that I can.
Well, except I don't think,
We can't do
we
that.
can't do that. We're not allowed to do
Yeah,
that.
it's gotta be open to whoever. So you're
To
establishing
a
that.
degree, if it's a tax-supported governmental entity, then we can negotiate direct conveyance to that entity. Based on what you told me, it's not a governmental entity.
No, it'd be a church.
Yeah. So what would happen in that
Good-sized
case?
church.
Yeah, what would happen in that case, you would be able to put it to bid, and knowing that they may be a bidder. You could exchange property, if they had property to exchange that you felt was an equal value or, good consideration.
Well,
Yeah.
And
the
all-
bottom line is, if there's people out there wanting to do something, then let's hear it. But all I've heard is negative, negative, negative. Nobody has stepped forward. This is the first time somebody has said that we could step forward and buy it under the same conditions as CWI and pay the $20 million. If that's the reality, then we should be looking at it.
We haven't given people the opportunity to do that yet.
And that is correct.
Right.
We haven't given them the
We haven't
opportunity,
talked
so
about that.
at this point, we would need to
And
go
what about
out.
the auditorium district? I mean, that's
They don't
still
have any
something we
money,
haven't
though.
even talked about yet.
It has to be
Is
cash.
how that starts playing out. I think they
Right.
start collecting here this next month is what I heard.
But,
They won't have funds till 27, right?
yeah, they won't have funds still, and
So how does that
They don't
affect,
have
again,
money.
a land exchange or a land purchase or parceling off? How does that all play out in light of the auditorium district's revenue? Does it all get diverted to Civic Center? That's some of the
the Fort
questions.
Idaho Center is listed as a recipient. And
Right.
so I think even if it's sold, it would still be eligible. There just has to be a joint powers agreement based on what legal has said within the auditorium district. If we're going to put it on the market, then we need to go ahead and identify, this group needs to identify what are the deed restrictions that we're going to put on it. And then we need to put it out, officially put it out. So we need to identify the deed restrictions. And in addition to that, what the dollar, if we want a minimum dollar amount. And so I think, Dale, you suggested 100 million because Randy, you have mentioned many times that's the value. So we
Well,
would
when I
have
went-
to,
Yeah, when I went back and looked at the fiscal year 2017 numbers through the iCredit report, that's where I just put together that valuation. And then now that's gone up, our valuation's gone up as far as $100 million just in what they're insuring at this point. So I'm not sure what the true value is, but if you look at the Jacobs report, just the 4 buildings alone was 1.5 or 150 million.
but that
The
was
true-
if
the
it
true
were
That's just the
built.
replacement value.
The true value is what a willing
What it'll
buyer
sell
and a
for.
willing seller are willing to negotiate and pay and receive. So that's what value is. For us throwing out these numbers is not material.
And we don't have that negotiation ability with the sale. You put a number, and it's just, are you willing to come to the table with that cash?
Do we need to put together a true market value though, or have one done by a third party?
That's
Assessor.
really up to a majority vote at the end of the day.
No, because if there's a willing buyer out there, they will
They can
make a
do it.
willing offer. And that tells you, under those circumstances and terms, that's what the market is saying the property's worth to them. There's no reason for us to do an appraisal. There's no need for appraisal.
So I have a
You're gonna Put it on
question.
the market, then let the market tell you what it's worth.
Okay, so just to move it quickly along. In the deed restrictions, we had the term sheet that we had put together with CWI, which could form the basis for some of the deed restriction.
Correct.
So which of the deed restrictions, so for example, the Fort Idaho Center continued use with the Snake River Stampede Rodeo, is that yes?
Yeah,
Yes.
all that,
So-
everything that's in there has to remain.
Everything?
That's the only way you know what the marketplace is willing to do.
Okay, well, the parking,
Because right
because
now
a lot
we're-
of this is CWI parking, right?
We're
CWI,
criticized for the negotiations with CWI and not seeking others, etc. So CWI is willing to do the deal according to those terms. So you leave those terms in there and you'll find out, is there somebody better than CWI who will come in and
Adhere to these terms.
adhere to these terms, etc. And so, not every nonprofit's gonna take on the liquor license issues and operate a venue that has liquor license. Not every nonprofit is going to take on that OVG can bring any act into the Idaho Center and make money off of, whether we like what the act is or not. But potentially, maybe there is somebody. And so therefore, that's how you have to look at it. I'll be real surprised if there's a nonprofit church who's willing to take the facility on under the same terms as CWI. But if they are and they're willing to pay $20 million, more
Well,
power to them.
maintaining the rodeo, if nothing else were there, maintaining the rodeo alone would be very difficult because of the cost of the dirt and all of that. Setting aside for 2 weeks and all of that, it would be difficult. But that said, so maybe what we do is, Preston, you put together, based on this document, what you believe the deed restrictions would be,
Okay.
and we bring that back to council for review.
Is that the conveyance agreement?
This is the facilities use agreement. This is just the terms, all those various things, and it talks about the recreation facilities, public safety training facility, advisory commission, soccer fields, parking,
Is that
ticket
that
office.
Three-page document? Okay.
Yep. But
So on a couple of these, I can ask the question, soccer fields. That was unique to CWI because they're
Correct.
immediately
It wouldn't be
adjacent.
It wouldn't be there.
Do you wanna put something in there that you gotta come up with 10 acres of
No.
land? in
No.
city limits? Okay.
So what if you sell it to a group that becomes insolvent and and OVG's like, we're gonna pack our silverware and we're out of here because this guy's insolvent. And the rodeo agreement's still on the deed restriction, the horse park, all the stalls have fallen down, it's in disrepair. You can't run an event there. And then the rodeo is supposed to go on but they can't even, the roof's falling in.
Right.
How do we guarantee that doesn't happen? We need to have this event for the next 100 years for the Stampede. We need to have it maintained.
When you sell it, you lose that, I believe.
Mayor, are we stuck on 20 million, or is that just
Oh, no.
what Randy brought up?
No.
That's just a number that was.
I think Dale suggested 100 million because that was the number that had been
That's what I
mentioned.
would want to
That it would be
for.
100
Yeah,
million.
okay.
Preston, I want to add though, if we can put in there the local stuff, so the graduations and the gun shows we've been asked to keep in there. Just thinking after public.
Well, the graduations and the state tournaments, right? We do the host state cheer, state basketball.
What other venues are there out there, Victor? Because you're on that committee, right? What other things are we missing? Event-wise?
I don't know, Dale. I wish I could tell you. All I know is that as long as we do it this way, people are gonna look at it and go, okay, at least they tried.
Yeah.
And that's gonna work for us. And then we get down to the nitty-gritty, then it'll be, the only way I can look at it is what is best for us. There you go.
There's craft shows.
If you can think of an event that needs to be protected that we're not getting in there, then we'd be good to put it in there.
Just those two. Just those two.
That's the main.
The horse park and rodeo. And I know the rodeo's only there 6-7 days out of the year.
2 weeks.
The horse
They have it
park is
about
there
2
every
weeks.
day.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah, so,
There's the prep time, there's the money spent that's come up, to move dirt
yeah,
and get it set up.
Clean up.
There's a great deal of expense
Yeah.
that they've got to put forward to use the facility.
I know, it's important to us, I know, I'm just glad that we're gonna go a
God and
different
Country.
route.
Oh yeah, that's in your.
It's in
Go a different route to take a look at the whole picture, and I'm okay with that.
So-
would we put in there that they would maintain the contract with OVG like CWI, because that's in there. That needs to be in the agreement as well.
I think everything that's in that term sheet, except for like the soccer fields, I guess the question, so Preston will work on that and he'll pull it back together. And what is our next council meeting is on the 2nd. But that's like, today is Monday, it's a week from tomorrow. I don't know how fast you can turn around that deed restriction. That's pretty quick.
You're not too busy, are you?
It's really up to you. If you think it'd be invaluable to have it by the 2nd, we can try to make that happen. It is a holiday weekend. But then we have the
That's true.
15th, right? So,
I think the second would
I
be
think
the
the
second.
second.
the second one in the month.
The second meeting of the month,
Yeah.
the 15th of September.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, I don't
You're
want to
leading
wade
that
into
meeting.
policy stuff much. I want to just advise on the legal guidance and counsel stuff. But, you know, you kind of see a decision here where there is kind of an immediate benefit. You get cash for the home or, you know, for selling it. Who will be the steward of that property? I think that's where the tussle is, the tug of war. And the conveyance route gives you that option to know who's going to be in this house, who will be running the property. Whereas you do have some risk in putting it out for sale. You do get a short-term windfall, but you can't control who is going to buy it. And statute says shall go to highest bidder.
I think the thing that's really the positive for the community is they're upset with the idea of just giving it away. Whereas if it's being stated by this council and the mayor that we're allowing the conversation to go into the sale of, then that answers some of the concerns that people have been raising. Because now we are addressing that. This is an opportunity. Is there a true interest out there to bring it forward? And if not, then, you know, we're continuing the dialogue a little bit further with other options. But at least that's been pursued, and they can come forward then, the people that have been saying, sell it. Okay, well, we'll put it out there and see what kind of offers we truly get. And, you know, reach out to Boise Valley Economic Partnership, have them be a part of the conversation as well, to see if there is a national interest. But again, back to who you're giving it to is important as much as what you're getting for it.
Yeah, have a national interest or an international interest come in and operate your facility in your community. Yeah.
You could put in some deed restrictions if you really want to know who's at the table. Again, I'll follow up if I think there's if this wouldn't hold up, but I think it would. You could put in a deed restriction that you had to have been an entity who submitted a proposal to the city, if you really wanted to know, right? Somebody you already knew in advance, and that would mean that shrinks the field of those who then presented pretty much their presentation, you know, of what they could do with the city, their wherewithal financially, their vision, their values, and that could be something if you want to have some control. I'm just concerned for you. You know, I want to support you in whatever you do, but I think you want to make the right decision. And
Well,
I
you're
think-
qualifying the buyer.
Yeah, it's pretty much that.
But it doesn't allow us to do that in statute, right? To qualify the buyer.
What it says is you take the highest bidder. What you put in your deed restrictions is up to us and what the law permits.
So if George Soros comes in here,
Mm-hmm.
there's $100 million to him is like a quarter to us.
Yeah.
He comes in here and he goes, I'm going to have a Bernie Sanders event here every single week, and I'll allow the rodeo for 2 weeks and the horse park to go on. There's not a dang thing we can do about that.
If there was nothing in the deed restrictions, right, where you're kind of dictating how they use it, then you're right, they could do that. But if the deed restrictions is carefully crafted intentionally with terms that are acceptable to you for long-term ownership, I think that gives you the cover you're looking for. And what those terms are, that's where we need to talk about them.
But at least we sold it.
Yeah.
So if they don't abide by our terms, then that would come back to us.
We could put that language, if they violate whatever one term or all the terms, you could have a reversion of ownership back to us. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is exactly what
Litigate that
CWI
with
had.
somebody who's invested a lot of money into the property.
No, they won't.
Yeah.
It would
Yeah.
cost the city tens of millions.
It would
We
be-
would not win.
Yeah,
It would be.
they won't get it.
Or we can just hang on to
Okay,
it
Preston, what
and
is
make the best out of it.
so after this step, then we have to notice it for 2 weeks?
Yeah, well, this is for,
This is still
This
just
is-
conversational though.
right here.
You're not talking about having an action item on the 15th,
Yes,
Yeah.
but you are?
yeah, that we would actually put it up for sale.
Oh.
So
it
that's
would
what
still
you're
be-
talking about, is the action item, he would be bringing forth the agreement, but do we need to do a public hearing?
So that if you want, so you gotta get the timing of this right. If you want to do the official vote, we have to have a formal declaration of our intent, how we're proceeding.
Do
So
you
why
have
don't we
to,
do that on the
Gotta
second?
have a public hearing.
And you can do that on the 2nd, and then you need to wait at least 14 days, so it would put us out to probably the first public hearing in October.
October.
Right.
Then we need to have it
in
ready for the
order to
second.
put it on the market for sale or to sell it?
What that does, it authorizes you to then go and sell it. Yes.
You don't have to have another public hearing to sell it, you're
It's a
authorized
public
to.
auction, yeah. Once you have that public hearing, and if there's a majority vote, it says you are now authorized to go sell it, and this is what you do. It has to be sold at a public auction to the highest bidder. And you can't accept a bid for less than the minimum value.
Does it have to be determined underutilized before you can do the public hearing to sell?
Yes.
Okay, so we would have to do the decision for underutilization on September 2nd, then or the 15th, then a month later, you have a public hearing to determine that you can actually put it on the market for sale. So that's, yeah, so,
Yes.
And for the second public hearing, I would advise that you have in there this deed restrictions, right, as an exhibit.
right.
Yes.
You're saying, hey, this is what we're gonna sell it as, world, these are the deed restrictions. And that'd give me enough time to articulate that, we can circulate that, probably. and-
So do we want to vote on, we didn't really discuss underutilization. And that is step number 1, which could be on the 2nd. And then the first meeting, which is October 8th, I believe, would be the meeting, a public hearing to actually determine that you're gonna put it on the market for sale.
Yeah, and part of the, I guess, call it proceedings or papers you would have would be, the resolution and all that, and that's gonna be fleshed out of the reasoning for underutilization. So the month of September would be preparing for that October 8th.
I think that's the date.
Maybe it's the,
And we can't have that by September 15th?
No, because it has to be, a public hearing has to be noticed for 14
at
days.
least 14 days.
And by the time you get out of the meeting on Tuesday the 2nd and it gets in the paper, it isn't getting in the paper
right.
until Friday. Then you've got it out for 14 days, so the soonest you can do it is the first meeting in October.
Okay.
And I think that it may be the 7th is the first meeting. But anyway, that's what it would be. But I guess the question is, are we ready for the 6th? Are we ready to have a vote for underutilization? Because we didn't talk tonight about underutilization. I think that we have a really good case for it being higher, it can be higher utilized than it currently is. So could you get the underutilization ready by Monday night?
my read of the statute is it's optional to have it all.
Tuesday night, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
It's optional to have it all fleshed out for that first declaration. But when you do the final decision in writing, like we have made this decision and we're writing it out, that is where you put all those, all the findings. We find that it's underutilized for these reasons, X, Y, and Z. That can be drafted in the time from the announcement. Think of it as Tuesday as kind of the formal announcement, and October as all the findings are all spelled out in writing.
And the
Everything's-
public hearing
Yes.
is ratifying it.
Yes, and that's where you're saying, hey, we reviewed it, and yes, we agree that it's underutilized or not used for a public purpose. Legal has drafted this, it's all there, we reviewed it, we're on board, let's have a vote.
So, Mayor, I'm thinking that underutilization is no longer an issue if we want to just sell it, right?
It has to.
Oh, it does?
Legally.
Yes.
Oh, it has to.
Legally, we
Yeah.
have to do that in order to sell,
That is the opening
That's the
gate,
crutch.
that's the threshold.
Okay,
which is
Well,
kind of sad.
yeah, I'll
And-
just sell it as is.
This is all, this is a published case, anyone can go read it. It's a U.S. District Court of Idaho case that says that a city can determine that a property is not only presently underutilized, but will be or would be in the future at some point underutilized. And that is different, in my opinion, than underperforming. It's more of what level could this property be utilized to? And if you feel like it's not there, the courts have said you can make that determination. And I'll put that in the findings.
Okay.
I would say, Mayor, it would help to flesh that out a little more on Tuesday, September 2nd, maybe a discussion of underutilization. And that would give me a little direction then on drafting that come October 6th and putting that all in writing.
Is that
Okay.
the direction we want to go?
Yep.
And this is a workshop, so no votes, but it sounds like, because we're just saying work on
Give
it,
you
but,
direction.
But
Yeah.
to vote on it the second, the underutilization.
uh-huh.
Think of it like formally kicking off the process. Now we're committed to a track. You're gonna go down a track. You're committed to a cell. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, is there anything else we need to talk about?
So does that mean we're communicating to CWI that we're not transferring it to them? That we're selling it?
Currently, that we're gonna pursue a different path. I need to call Gordon.
They put a lot of effort into
They
it.
put a lot of effort and expense into
have.
it. A lot of expense. So,
And Mayor, could I ask a question just to kind of guide this decision? Is it more a matter of consideration, meaning dollars out of this transaction? Or is it more that it has to be a bid? Because CWI could still, through a conveyance from one government to the other, put money on the table. And so the question is it more of just some sort of value for this exchange, or is it how you're doing it? Is this really, no, we want to sell it, we don't want to convey it?
They want to buy it, they buy it.
For $1.
Not selling it for $1.
I use.
so
Maybe
I tell you
conversation was
what,
going
I
well. Yeah.
I think I'm hearing is that we are saying as a group, we're ready to move forward and do something.
Yeah.
Either path, you have to first start by underutilization, which
Make that
we're gonna
finding.
have you ready to do on September 2nd. And then we'll visit with CWI, and obviously this is all public record and recorded. And we'll make a decision. At this point, what we're talking about doing is putting it on the market with deed restrictions. But if we don't get that, if you don't get the bid, a response back, we do have the option to figure out what we want to do. Is that
Yes.
correct?
You're saying if nobody matches our minimum
Minimum
number?
number.
Yes, yep, your playbook's still open.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we'll talk before, after the 2nd, before we're ready to go out, because that's not until October. You'll spend some time figuring out what we're looking for from people, because that may give us some information on how we can move forward. Like when they're coming in to bid on something.
And you can have your decision kicked out, whatever. If you need more time, it could be till November or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
To do
But if
that.
it's a George Soros type buyer, we're comfortable with that.
Nope.
We're not?
You could put some deed restrictions on that.
Okay, so how do you put a deed restriction restricting who the buyer is?
No
George
political
Soros
entity.
cannot buy this.
You can't do it on
Have
a
you ever
protected
faced a
class.
lawsuit for discrimination in real estate?
We're talking about the potential sale of the facility. That's what we're
That's
talking
what we're
about now.
talking about.
Right.
I'm trying to vet it out.
Yeah, well, and all I'm hearing is, well, the fear of maybe this person will buy it, instead of, we have the fear-driven approach in other ways. So, I mean, that's why I thought maybe we could talk this out a little bit more. You're just all upset because I brought forward an idea that someone might have an interest in buying the facility.
No,
And
I'm
now
not
it's
upset,
expended.
Randy, I'm trying to look at the whole issue. And
So
you
am I.
And you discount trying to bring it in, that there is, when you put it out on the open market, depending on the terms, there may be somebody who says, yeah, I'm gonna buy it. Are we comfortable with whoever buys it from the outside?
Well, I see maybe
I'll
a
be ready to go.
conglomerate of maybe
I'm getting kind of
other
tired of this.
businessmen from the area coming
Let's-
together, maybe pooling their
I'll make a
resources
motion.
and buying it,
No,
so.
we don't
But
do
we'll
motion.
just say real quickly, we are required to sell to the highest bidder.
Right.
We are required no matter who it is.
And that might be
But
local people, it
If
might
it
not
reaches
be.
the 100 million or the amount that we put out.
All I'm trying to say
Correct.
is that you're comfortable with the highest bidder. whoever they may be.
That's what we would do. That said, I think we're ready, so I'd stand for a motion to adjourn. Right, okay. I think we're ready. So, thank you.